Johnny Cash wrote and sang "Were You There When They Crucified My Lord?" And Johnny and his lovely wife Joan Carter Cash sang at concerts in the United States, and people enjoyed those concerts. And Joan Carter Cash was a very talented person. She was able to write music, and she was able to compose music and write and write as well. So she is very talented. So may Johnny and his lovely wife Joan Carter Cash rest in peace, and the light of heaven shine upon them, amen. And Johnny visited Ireland many times because his family come from here, and he loved Ireland, and he wrote and sang 40 Shades of Green uh, because he loved the country and the different greenery of it. We enjoyed the singing. He come here many times. So may Johnny and his lovely wife Joan Carter Cash rest in peace, and the light of heaven shine upon them, amen. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to the cross? Were you there when they nailed him to the cross? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the cross? Were you there when they took him down from the cross? Were you there when they took him down from the cross? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they took him down from the cross? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Uh, uh, were you there when the stone was rolled away? Were you there when the stone was rolled away? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when the stone was rolled away? Well, you weren't. The soldier was there. And did they get a fright when that big stone blocking the tomb was rolled away by the angels from heaven? They went as white as sheets and ran like jackrabbits. And when Quibbles come across me, he says, "What are you doing here? Go back and mind the tomb. That's what we're paying you for." "Oh no, we're not going back to mind that tomb. That stone was moved away from the entrance to heaven, a big stone by the forces from heaven. You go back and mind the tomb, Caiaphas, and your cronies. Off you go." "No, no, well, we won't be doing that." "Oh, you're cowardly, aren't you, Caiaphas? You're no fraud." Mum's the word. We better reward you. Changing the subject. He was a cowardly old person. And the 30 pieces of silver. But we know all about it. Can't hide the truth. No, sorry, cannot do that. So, and Mary Magdalene, then a few of the ladies was visiting the tomb to anoint her Saviour in the Easter Sunday morning in the tomb, of custom, Jewish custom, and probably custom from other people as well. Our saints and people important in them times was built was up in mountains. We have a megalithic tomb here near Oldcastle, going back 5,000 years. They built them up in the mountain and went to a lot of trouble and built it in such a way as the sun could come in at certain times of the year, the solstice and the other time, and light up at the inside. Whatever way they were able to do all that, and the people that they brought up to be buried up there. And there's the new grave is more well known, but we have one here If they'd only widen the road and make it more known and all the rest, of busloads come to it, but they put out narrow roads. Anyways, we're talking about business of what of that. So they were wondering whether the stone be moved away or whether the soldiers obliged and said somebody said, Aaron, not at all. They wouldn't give a handstone for you. So they're as thick as double ditches. You wouldn't know what to make of them. So as I got near the tomb, saw the stone was moved away. I no sign that the soldiers, thanks for the God, them soldiers not here, so some of them. So Mary went into the tomb and come out crying. She said, he's not there, his clothes is there, he's not there. Where have they put him so we can go back and bring him? The women was crying too, yeah, where they put him? And then looked to be a man there, looked to be a gardener, but that was Jesus. And he said, Mary. Oh, she smiled. Yes, Jesus. Go and tell the apostles what you've seen. I certainly will, said Mary. Oh, without a doubt. Hippity hop. And they would have said, we'll go too. And they all went singing. Uh, it's a long way to... No, it wasn't. They didn't sing that. They sang their own tunes. And then in the meantime, there was two men, two disciples, going from Jerusalem to a little village called Emmaus, 6 miles away. They were as sad a pair of men as disciples as you could wish to clap an eye on. Their faces was as long as a wet week, nearly down to the ground with sadness. And a stranger joined them. What's wrong with you? She said. You look as if you saw a ghost or something. Well, we saw no ghost. Are you the only one that doesn't know what happened? What happened, says the stranger. Our Saviour Jesus had to have a terrible death, crucified. We can't get over it. He was the way, the truth, and the life. He did marvelous and good, and he cured people. We can't just believe it. So the stranger walked along the road with him and told him about the scriptures and so on and so forth, and their mood lifted. They were smiling. They were kind of trying to keep that under control. And they felt like whistling. But they didn't say now and again, that's so. That's good. And they were going along the road. They didn't find the time going and getting dark as they come near Emmaus. And the stranger was about to go on. They said, hold on there, they were that. It's getting late. Come and join us, have a bite to eat, stay the night, and continue your journey in the morning. Always, says the stranger, I'll go with you then. Thanks very much for the invite. Oh, you're most welcome, says the two disciples, Jack and Joe, we called them. So they went in and were tucking into the food, licking their lips. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? But then at the breaking of the bread, they recognised Jesus. And he disappeared. Oh, pity he did. Well, says Jack and Joe. Did you ever hear the bit where he was with us? No wonder we felt so good. And he drew us out. My goodness, we were as sad as you like, but by the time we were finished, we were a different pair of individuals. But we have such good news, we'll have to go and tell the apostles. Although we could sleep standing up like a horse, we're as tired as, but we can't keep this good news to ourselves. I'll tell you, we'll have some trouble getting into the upper room. They're afraid of the Jews and Haste to come in and murder them, so they have it all treble locked and all the rest of it. I don't know how we get in. So anyways, they rattled at the door good Jack and Joe just showed good news. They were wild there, their knuckles were nearly getting sore. And then the door was opened. So thanks very much for opening the door. About time. But we had the bearer of good news and up the stores they flew. What the very good news is said all round. What's the good news? Jesus walked along the road with two Emmaus, and it's the breaking of the bread he disappeared, we recognised. Did the apostles believe them? I'm afraid not. Did they believe Mary McGillen and the ladies? Afraid not. And when Jesus appeared, he says, I sent you messengers. Why didn't you believe them? We were too upset, Jesus. Forgive us. Peter and John went to the tomb as well, after Mary told us. And I saw you weren't there. And John knew uh, instinctively that you'd risen from the dead, that it wasn't taken away by some evil people. And they were guarding the tomb to stop us, in case we were going to be doing something. We're not into that. We know Jesus. And but Jesus did appear to him. So anyway, thanks for Jesus. We were delighted to see you. And they were delighted. But Thomas wasn't there. And when they told Thomas the good news, he was another doubting Thomas. He wouldn't believe, he says, unless he could touch the wounds of our divine Saviour Jesus. Well, they rattled him and gave him a good shaking. That's what he'd be doing. They'd rattle him so good, oh. And so Jesus, about 8 days later, Thomas was there, and Jesus, our Saviour, appeared again. He said to Thomas, put your hands here and point to his wounds. And Thomas did, fell to his knees and saying, my Lord, my God, ashamed of his unbelief. And Jesus looked kind to him and said, you believe, Thomas, because you've seen. Blessed are those that haven't seen and yet believe. And that's Catholics down the centuries to the present day who believe. And we shed many a tear when we contemplate the passion and death of our Saviour. Here's a little story. Then we'll tell the different one then tomorrow. We keep the ball rolling that way. Because we can't just gloss over these things. We have to go through them, don't we? Now, I won't be doing the daily reflections because I didn't get them as yet from Oliver. He's busy on other chores, but let's hope he comes with them. And I want the whole lot together so as I can be writing them down. He gave me one yesterday, but I'm not too keen on getting one every day. That doesn't suit. Bye now.